Welcome, everyone, to the Open in Indiana podcast, where we feature the people, places, and events that make Indiana a great place to live, work, and visit. Today, our guest is a musician in Southern Indiana, Angel Rhodes. How are you doing today, Angel?
I'm doing very, very well today. How about you?
I'm doing great. I don't know about the weather near you, but here in Indianapolis, it's a beautiful day outside.
It is a gorgeous day out, which is crazy because on the weekends is whenever I do like my live streams and stuff like that. So of course it rained all week, whenever I could actually go outside and work in the garden. Oh no, now it's nice. This
So
is my life.
now, Angel, which Indiana community are you located in?
I'm actually in Evansville, Indiana, but musician-wise, I go kind of everywhere. I started out just kind of local in Evansville, and now I go to Louisville, Lexington. I go west to like Carbondale, Illinois. I got my first gig booked in Bloomington in October. So yeah, I'm slowly but surely spreading my wings farther and farther out.
Awesome. And how did you get started as a musician? Where did you know that music was what you wanted to do?
I kind of did it backwards from everybody else. I went to college, got a bachelor's degree, got a great job, and I'm like, hey, I'm miserable. This is not for me. And actually the catalyst is I unfortunately lost my brother to colon cancer. And at that point in time, I was like, man, like what is important to me? Like what makes me happy? And music is really the only answer I came up with. And I just kind of started slowly getting it to the point. I've been a full-time musician since June of 2015. So I just love it. It's very therapeutic for me to write. I swear I'd be crazy if it wasn't for me being able to, put my feelings out on pen and paper and, turn them into a song. So yeah, I guess that would be the catalyst, but I've always been the kid, with the hairbrush running around singing. That was me. That was totally me. So I've only been playing guitar for like I think 4 or 5 years now, and but I've been singing my entire life.
And so this is a way to turn something that you've always been passionate about now into what you do full time, day in and day out.
Yeah, my grandma told me a long time ago, you will never work a day in your life if you do what you love. And I love what I do. It's just, I'm so happy that I found that outlet. I know not a lot of people have that, so I'm glad that I found it while I was still, young enough to do something about it. So.
And so, Angel, what are some of your musical influences?
Oh, you're going to laugh because I am so random. There's so many different ones. I love Alicia Keys. Janis Joplin is like, oh, my heart, love her to death. I love Susan Tedeschi. Right now, I've been totally hooked on Billie Eilish lately. So it's funny. If you ever listen to my shuffle, you'll hear anything going from like Killswitch Engage to like, I don't know, like Tupac to, some Ariana Grande. You just never know. It just depends. If I like the song, that inspires me. As far as songwriting goes, I always thought that Sarah Bareilles was very intriguing in the way that she writes, and I enjoy probably about 90% of her songs. So yeah, it just depends on my mood for the day. But I think vocally, I definitely lean towards kind of like Janis Joplin and Alanis Morissette. I've got that angsty kind of rock voice, so that's kind of what I tend to go with.
And so you've released a couple of albums now, have you not?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I released my very first band, my very first project ever was Deja Blue 5, which we are not still together, but we're still friends. We hang out and stuff. But that was my first album, and I wrote 6 of the songs on that album. And I just released an EP not too long ago, before COVID-19 happened. So, and I'm working on a new EP now, which that'll be another 3 songs. And then hopefully by the end of this year, I'll be releasing another full album. I have 28 songs on backlog that I haven't released yet. So it's all coming. Just right now, it's just the financial part of it, just because obviously I'm not gigging right now. So it's, I'm just trying to be smart about it.
And so as you go out and play gigs before COVID-19 happened, there's a lot of business workings that a musician has to be aware of, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, there's just a lot that goes into it. I feel like people, they always see the fun part. They see me performing and having a good time, drinking with my friends, blah, blah, blah. What they don't see is behind the scenes. Like, I'm basically my own business owner. So, you know, I have to make calls for gigs. I do cold calls, like, especially if it's in a market that I've never been into before. I will spend hours upon hours on the phone, marketing, making sure you're doing your YouTube videos, merchandise. I mean, you run your own business, so you have to treat it as such. And I think that I'm thankful that I have my business experience, because then I can step back as far as being the artist and be like, okay, I need to make sure they make money, so then that way they hire me back and I make money. And you guys, I don't know, a lot of musicians get sucked into wanting to play what they want to play, and I'm like, but it's not about you, you know. I mean, it's about the listeners, it's about the audience, and you kind of just got to put your ego aside and play what they want to hear. So I find that if you go ahead and play a couple of covers that everybody loves, and then you throw an original in, it goes over so much better. I'm just saying.
So it's trying to build that relationship with your audience at every gig.
Yeah. Well, and that's why I enjoy, like, I do a lot of solo performances. I also have a band and a duo, and I love my intimate solo performances because I like to cut up with the crowd. I'm a huge goofball. I do not take myself that seriously, and I just like to mess around with the crowd, and I like being able to actually see them and see their, you know, reactions and interactions. Some of the places I played the band are huge, so, like, I mean, I can see like the first like 2 rows, and that's it. You know, I mean, I'll wave, but I have no idea who I'm waving to. So you know, this is my life, this is what it works. But yeah, it's a lot of fun, but it is a lot of work. And even just setting up your equipment and tearing it down at the end of the night, I mean, that stuff's heavy, and a lot of times I go to these by myself, so I'm hauling these big huge speakers over my head. I mean, I definitely don't have to work out on gig days, that is for sure. Definitely do not.
And so as you've grown as a musician, as a songwriter, and as a performer, what's one of the biggest things that you've learned in your journey?
And I actually just told this to a very new musician the other day. Just because they are not paying attention to you does not mean that they're not listening. I played this place, it's called Lore, and it's in Owensboro, and I was very much atmospheric music, you know, just sit there and sing pretty on your guitar, right? So I went this whole gig, it was 3 hours, and like, I felt like I was singing to myself. You know, I mean, it was just no interaction with the crowd whatsoever, and I honestly felt very down at the end of it, but I still performed to the best of my ability. And then as I was packing up, I had just like multitudes of people coming up and just telling me how great I did, and they love my song selection and everything. And that was such a good lesson for me, because at that moment there was no reaction. I couldn't tell if they were into it or not, you know, and then they actually were. And that kind of helped me a lot, just for, you know, as a musician, there are going to be times that you play to like a very small crowd. And I just found it was very important that to sing the same as if there's, you know, 5 people in the crowd or 3,000, you know, you just got to be the same. And you know, it's about the audience, and they're listening, and that interaction between us. So if it's not there, that doesn't mean that they're not exactly listening, but still perform good, because they're still listening to you. They're still listening.
So let's kind of change gears, since you put an emphasis on live performance. Do you have a ritual that you've developed to help prepare yourself to put on a good performance?
Well, it's not so much of a ritual. I'm just very careful on like what I eat and what I drink before, like on gig days. I don't do any dairy. I don't do any caffeine. I usually stick to just water. But no, and I always have to make sure I get plenty of sleep. I have found that no matter how prepared I am for a performance, if I'm exhausted, it's not going to turn out well. So not so much of a ritual per se, but just, you know, I'm just conscientious of a lot more things on my gig days that I perform at, or in recording too. I have to make sure that I have plenty of sleep. Otherwise, my producer gets on my booty. I know I'm not doing good whenever he's like, Angel, how's your voice feeling today? And I'm like, well, apparently not good if you're asking me. So, I mean, but yeah, the struggle's real.
And so it's important. Your voice is just as much of caring for an instrument as you would
Oh,
a
yeah.
guitar.
Oh, yeah.
What have you found helps it keep the quality of your voice at its highest?
Lots of singing. I can definitely tell with everything going on that, some of my notes are a little bit harder for me to reach, but it's just because I'm not singing. During the summertime, I will gig anywhere from 3 to 8 times a week. And sometimes this last month, I had 2 different days I was going to be playing guitar performing for 8 hours. So, that's like practice. So I can definitely feel the change in my voice. Not that it's better or worse, but I just have to work a little harder. But yeah, I think that would be the main part of it.
And so in between the live gigs, when you're working to record, what have you learned as a musician in the studio?
It's not at all what you think it's like. I'm usually singing in a vocal booth, like all by myself. We tend to do it, like each person comes in and records their part, and then I'm listening to them through the headphones. So it's kind of on the lonely side. I'm not going to lie, because, you're just sitting in a vocal booth by yourself and everybody else is in the other way. I've also learned finishing your notes, like little small nuances really come across in recording, whereas they don't as much on live music. So it's just, and it's so funny. I'm just now getting to the point where my recorded voice sounds like what I think it sounds like in my head. Just like if you record something on your answering machine and you're like, oh my gosh, that's what I sound like. I am just now to that point where I sound the way I think I sound, which I think is a good thing, because then I know if I'm changing up something that is going to translate well to the listeners as well.
And so do you always record at the same studio, or do you record in different places?
I'm very loyal. I try to stick to the same person. The person I'm with now is Steve Tyner with Black Cat Recording Studio, and he's local here in Evansville, but super, super talented. I like him because I hired him because I was like, I don't want somebody to just fluff my ego. If it doesn't sound good, tell me it doesn't sound good. Don't be like, oh no, it's great, girl. And then I hear it and I'm like, what were you thinking? So I enjoy him just because we're friends. I'm not opposed to recording in other places, but I do feel like rapport is a big part of recording. You want to, I don't know, I feel like you put on a better show if you're comfortable. Now, the first album with Deja Blue 5, I actually did that with Scott Wambach, and he no longer has a recording studio. His wife said he had to get a real job. So he does not record anymore, but I see him every once in a while out and about, and they're doing very, very well. But yeah, right now, Steve is kind of my go-to guy. He's my dude.
Awesome. And so approximately how long does it take you as a musician to assemble one complete song?
It depends. It depends on the song. Sometimes they just come together a lot more organically than other ones. My recent EP that came out, Self-Sabotage, we literally recorded the vocals and everything. I think for me, it was like 3 takes, super, super quick. All the musicians came together really well on it. It was actually ended up being my favorite song on the EP, which it was not my favorite song before I recorded, which is crazy. But then other ones, like Is It Me is a very punky rock, like love song. That one took a while just for me to get the grittiness that I wanted to feel. And we had to try a couple of drummers out just to kind of, make it what I wanted it to be. So the last EP, it ended up taking, I think, like 6 months, but that was just because I was having trouble getting people in to record and like coordinating schedules and all that stuff, because there was a lot of moving parts with it. This next one, since pretty much all of us are not working right now, I think will go a lot quicker. But so what am I doing anyway? So why not record an EP? So I've been door dashing to just kind of like, hold me over until I'm back to doing music, and I've been saving up my money and we're ready to start recording again. I'm super, super excited. I love recording. It's one of my favorite things to do.
And so how is that feeling of being able to share your original work with listeners for the first time?
The first time, I am so nervous because everything that I write about, I've either personally been through or it's somebody that I care about. And some of them are really, really honest. I little bit more honest than I meant them to be, but they just, I feel like that's a good thing. Self-Sabotage is one of them. Whenever I wrote the chorus, I was almost like talking to myself. It's like my self-sabotage. Why do I do this to myself? I swear that I might need some help. If only you'd believe that I'd stop it if I could. I'm not good at doing what I should. It was very simple. It was from my journal, and that's where it came from. So it's really, really nerve-wracking the first time, because I'm like, I'm literally just handing you my heart and for you to step on, so and fortunately I haven't had too many instances where people have, been negative or anything like that about it. But I feel like if you want to learn very much about me, you listen to my songs, because I'm way more honest in my songs than I am in anything else. Just because of what we do for a living, you're always expected to be happy. You're always expected to be on top of the world. So, I've done gigs with like tears in my eyes before, but you would never know that from the stage or like from the audience standpoint. So I feel like the recording is just, I don't know. It like I said, it's a lot more honest. So it's a little tough. Then after that, people start getting into it. It's like, okay, I don't suck. We're all right. So we're okay. But it's nerve wracking, because you are imagine putting one of your diary pages or journal pages out for everybody to read. That's kind of what I compare my songs to. They're like my little babies. So.
And so as a musician, there's a very open honesty with yourself, being able to translate that into your music.
Oh yeah. There was this the new song that's going to be on the newest EP is called Frenemies, and I was really, really mad at somebody that I thought was my friend, and which wasn't. And I was writing in my journal, and I was on fire that day. I don't know what was going on, but I was like, right, and every single word, every single line, stanza, everything came from my journal. I don't know, I just wrote in rhymes that day. I don't know, I'm a weirdo, don't judge me. But anyways, it all came from my journal. I didn't even have to switch around that much stuff. It just, but yeah, it was very honest, because I would never ever say this to this person in real life ever, just because I'm not that kind of a person. But I sure will say it in a song though. I will. No names, and I tend to change genders a lot to protect the innocent. So but yeah, it's very honest. It's brutally honest sometimes.
And so as a songwriter, has your ability to tell your story evolved over time?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I found that it changes with what kind of music I'm listening to. Like the stuff with Deja Blue 5, that's it was like a classic rock blues kind of vibe. And so those songs are very indicative to that. This last EP was the first time that I had a hand in everything. Like I got to hand pick the musicians that I wanted on there. I got to pick kind of like what riffs I liked and everything like that. And it was just, it just evolved a little bit. And then even my songs that I'm releasing now, I've been listening to a little bit more hip hop. So I'm finding that I'm writing more like fast paced, kind of quick songs. Whereas, back in the day, I wrote kind of blues songs. So it just, I don't know. Everybody says that I need to start selling my songs, because I don't have any two originals that sound the same. So I'm like, because I wrote, like, I'm not a country girl per se. I do sing country to appease the crowd, but if you get in my car, you're not going to hear country in my car. But I wrote a straight up country song called Camping Girl, about going out and drinking and camping. So that would probably be one that I would sell, just because it's so unlike anything else that I've written. So I don't know. I guess there's a song for everything. You just got to find it.
And so as your style has evolved as a songwriter, have you found that your audience changes with that progression?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, it's the day and age now where you got to cater to the younger generation, because they're the ones downloading the songs. So, I do try to keep that in mind, but I'm an old soul, like I said, I love Janis Joplin, Pink Floyd, that kind of stuff. So I feel like that's always going to be prevalent in my music, just because I want to be authentic, but I don't see anything wrong with catering yourself to who's going to be buying your music. I'm very lucky that I have a bunch of diehard fans that literally come and see me. Like I have a friend of mine, actually it's a couple, it's Jonathan and Cassie Benedict, and they live in Evansville, and they drove all the way to Harbordale, Illinois to see me for a gig, which is 2.5 hours. So I feel like I have my core group of diehard fans, and then I just add more every day. I'm like, hey, one fan at a time. That's all it takes. Just one fan at a time.
And so as you have toured more and played more gigs, have you found a favorite venue that you like to play?
You know, someone asked me this the other day, and I feel like this is not a fair question. Like, this is not a fair question. I have their favorites for different reasons. You know, I mean, I have some that I enjoy just because of the atmosphere, and then I have some that I love just because, you know, I can get my full band out there and we can rock out. And then I love the other ones that are like pop, like they can hold 50 people, and I'm literally like sitting on a stool singing to you right there. You know, I mean, so that's a tough question just because I have their favorites for different reasons. We'll just put it that way.
Fair enough. Well, is there a certain venue that you aspire to be able to play in?
Yeah, and it's not even a huge venue. There is this place, and it's in Marion, Illinois, and it's called John Brown's on the Square. And I go there every time I go to the Illinois because I stay in Marion, and I want to play there. It's an all original establishment, which I don't get to do very many all original gigs in. I mean, it's just there's not as much of a demand for it. I would love to. So John Brown, if you're seeing this, holler at your girl. Like, I would love to play there. I go there and drink all the time, so it'd be cool to like actually make money while I'm there. So like it'd be a lot better. But it's cool because they have like all these big name acts that like they come in and they play, and they just very down to earth. I've met several musicians through it, and it's a cool little place, man. It's like your musicians bar, and we don't have any of those really in Evansville. I think that is just catered to musicians, and that's it.
And so, Angel, as a musician and songwriter yourself, are there any other local musicians and songwriters that inspire you?
Oh yeah, I'm very fortunate because Evansville is like a plethora of like fantastic musicians, and it's we have a good camaraderie between us, and that's a little bit you'll find in some of the bigger cities that you don't have that as much. There is a group called the Honey Vines that I am obsessed with. Their harmonies and like their lead guitar player is just fantastic. Like, oh, like just honey just dripping off of their vocals. It's beautiful. I've got Monty Skelton, which he literally can play everything. I mean, even like a jazz flute, like he's got it. And then there's quite a few different ones that we have around here. They're just super inspiring. And then like Reverend Jack, they're from Madisonville, which is not very far from us. I've had the pleasure of meeting them several times, and I like their songwriting. So we've got a good like little group of people that I mean, I just look up to, and hopefully one day I'll be a cool musician like them. So I don't know. I think I'll always just kind of think of myself as like, oh, Angel from the south side of Evansville, you know, and it's a lot of fun. But yeah, there's a lot of musicians around here that are just fantastic and underrated. Like they totally should have already made it big by now. So, but you know, what can you say? It's a tough business. It's a very tough business.
That it is. And so all of the albums and EPs that you've released, have you done so independently or under a label?
Oh no, I've done it all by myself, paid for it all by myself. Yeah. It's not cheap, y'all. It is not cheap. I just recently, because I don't believe in the whole GoFundMe thing, unless it's like, you know, like a major illness or something. I'm not gonna like hit y'all up, be like, hey, I need money to help me record. I'm just not into that. But a musician that I've been along the name, his name is Reverend Hilton, and he says that I should start doing Patreon, so I'll probably start doing that too, because at least that way it's a little different. You like sign up, but then you get something every month. Like you get first access to tickets, I send you signed pictures, and you know, that kind of stuff. So it's not like I'm just getting money for free. Like I actually have to work for it, which I would much rather do. You know, I'd never want anybody to be like, oh, you have this because of me, but like, no. I worked my tail off to get that. So now I've done it all by myself. Yeah. Lots of saving money. That's what it is. Lots of saving money.
And so, Angel, what advice do you have for a young musician now who aspires to be able to do their own thing?
Don't forget about the business side of it. I kind of touched on that a little bit earlier that, I mean, if bar owners are not making money whenever you play there, they're not going to have you back. So, I mean, it's in your best interest and theirs to make sure the audience is happy. Be sure you market, make sure you promote, I mean, it's okay to play what you want to play, but be sure to, make sure the audience is happy too. Cause I mean, they're the ones buying the drinks and a lot of times buying your shots for you. So, you want to make sure that they're happy, and then just don't skimp on the business side. I mean, you've got to make a lot of phone calls. You got to pay your dues. It doesn't happen overnight unless you're on The Voice or American Idol. And even then, it's not as easy as they make it seem on TV. So, but yeah, it's just, it's a business. And that's one thing I think people forget. It is absolutely a business. Yes, it's fun. It's a way, it's a creative outlet. But yeah, if you want to make money at it, you got to keep the business side in mind.
And so, excuse me. And so with the current events where we can't still meet in public and the future of summer shows is in question, what have you been doing as a musician to stay out there in front of your fans?
I live stream on my Facebook page, Angel Rhodes Music, every Friday. I mean, unless I decide to take off, but I've only taken off one during this entire time. So I really like that. People like to send in requests, and if I have time, I learn songs for them. I learned 3 songs just for the one last week. But yeah, I really, really enjoy that. And they can tip or donate if they wish to, and so I'm basically busking for money at that point in time. I've done a lot of podcasts. I've been, working with my band on some original music. I finished an original song, which I'm really, really excited about, which I think is a good time for it to come out. It's about anxiety, and it's called Mess in My Head. And I just released it. We have ABC Local Lifestyles here, and I just released it for the first time on TV last week. And but yeah, it's like I'm trying my best to stay on top of it. I've kind of been bad. I should be putting up more YouTube videos, but I just hate editing videos. Okay, I'm just gonna throw that out there. I do not like doing it. If I didn't have to edit it, I would have the video up every day. But like, I just don't like it. So if anybody wants to edit and kind of help a sister out, by all means, call me. We'll work on it. So, but yeah, the live streams is the one way, because it's not, I have it set up to where I can see comments. So as I'm playing, I can see what they're saying. So I'm kind of talking to them, but not really. I don't know. But it's still fun because they like it, because then they can request songs that they haven't heard in a long time. Because I know like 260 something songs. So, and I only live stream for an hour. So I'm trying to get as many as I can within that. But live streams and just recording, I've been working with some new musicians lately just to kind of like, broaden my horizons a little bit. I feel like creatively it's been good for me. I've learned a lot of songs. It's given me that, it's forced me to have the time to do that. But I enjoy it. It's I miss performing a ton, so much, but I feel like it's good, and it's had its bad points. But live streams, I swear, that's what's like keeping me alive right now, because I'm a social butterfly. I crave like being around people and having fun, and I can't do that. Like, I love my husband to death, but he is very shy and he doesn't talk a whole lot. So poor guy, he gets home from work and I'm like, talk to me, a human. Yes. So poor guy. I mean, the dogs don't talk back. They don't.
And so do you have a message for your fans about looking forward to being able to play in front of them and for them again soon?
I don't know. I hadn't really thought about that. Message for them. I don't know. Wait for me. I'll be playing soon. I mean, yeah, it's been crazy. April was supposed to be my record month for music since I started this in 2015. So it was very disheartening to have to cancel all those gigs. Actually, our first big gig in Louisville for the full band was in April. We had to cancel that. And then May's not looking good, and June's not looking good. It might be July. I don't know, but it has taught me that I'm very resilient. I mean, I'm making it. I mean, I'm not going to go buying any cars anytime soon, but I mean, I am making bills are paid. I have food, and a little bit to record. So wait for me. I'm coming. But until then, just still out, download my music and tune into my live stream so I can at least have some sort of interaction with like humans. Yeah, that'd be good.
And so, Angel, speaking of ways to keep in touch with you, how could anyone get a hold of you or follow you if they wanted to learn more?
If they Google Angel Rhodes Music, I'm on everything. I mean, I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Reverb Nation. As far as my music, anywhere. I mean, Google Play, Tidal, like all the different things, Amazon, Apple Music, that seems to be the most popular one that people end up using, but all kinds of different ways. Plus I have my website at angelrhodesmusic.com. If you just go there, it'll take you to everything. So you just which I'm excited. We're supposed to be revamping that in the next couple of weeks. So yeah, be on the lookout for a whole new look. I'm excited about that. I've had the same one for a couple of years now, and I'm like, it's time. It's time. I've got the time to do it, so let's revamp this bad boy.
Awesome. And Angel, before we close here, are there any additional Evansville area businesses that you'd like to give a shout out to today?
Let me see. There's a ton of them out there that have been super, super supportive of me during this process. Primetime Pub and Grill in Newburgh, the Miss Stephanie, she always, she sends me tips and stuff on there. Let me see. Boca Lounge is always a trooper. La Masco is always good. I mean, we've got a really good group of venues around here. They're being so supportive of the local music scene. But I do want to give a shout out to Miss Angie Humphrey on ABC Local Lifestyles, because she's one of the very few anchors that only will do original music, and she always makes it a point to spotlight local artists. So I just feel like that's so important, especially for original music. I feel like all songs started out as original music. It's just some made it to the radio, some didn't. So it's definitely much appreciated. That's for sure.
Awesome. Well, Angel, thank you so much for your time this afternoon to interview with us. And to everyone watching and listening, thank you for catching this episode of the Open in Indiana podcast. Catch our next episode soon.
All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Open in Indiana podcast. This podcast is produced by Henry Marketing Group, LLC, DBA Open in Indiana. To listen to more episodes, visit www.openindiana.com/shows. Thanks for listening.